Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. My name is Mpho Makubele. I'm a chartered accountant, and on this platform I like to discuss a bit of business, a bit of careers, and sometimes some life stuff. We're doing exactly that today as we chat about Balwin's new BEE deal that was recently announced. If you weren't aware, just recently Balwin announced a 214 million rand BEE transaction, which will see black ownership in Balwin go up to 10%. How did that come about? Why was that? And all of the other questions that you could have, well, that I had, I want to answer in this video. So if you into that sort of thing, just stick around. And I also just want to ask you, if you're not subscribed, but please go ahead and subscribe. I will be making more videos such as this and other things really that tickle my fancy. So yeah, let's get into it. Who is Balwin first before we get into the deal? Well, a lot of us stay in their buildings. They have made luxury or modern contemporary living more affordable to most of us, or to entry-level professionals, really. Well, they were listed in the JSE, however, they're not a REIT. According to their website, they were founded in 1996, and they have over 97 developments to their belt. They plan to be worth about $1 billion by the year 2025. Now, I don't know what they mean by worth, because currently their market cap is like 2.1 billion. I don't know much about the founder, Mr. Stephen Brooks, other than the fact that he's a Chelsea fan. Congratulations on winning the Champions League. And then he looks up to Richard Branson of the Virgin Group. Okay, so on the deal, according to the published SENS, there will be a new SPV created, which will be owned 51% by Reginald or Mr. Reggie Kukama, 24% by a black woman or black women, and unidentified at this point, and then the remaining 25% will be owned by black youth, also not identified. This SPV will then be given an opportunity to acquire 10%, up to 10% of shares in Balwin Properties as listed on the JSE. At what price, you may ask? Well, at a 20% initial discount. They will look at the average share price of Balwin shares over the last 30 days from when the agreement is actually signed by all the involved parties. They will look at the price, the share price over the last 30 days, and then they will apply a 20% haircut to that. Based on whenever they put out the SENS announcement, they had actually identified the full value, the full transaction value at 214 million. So I guess you still have to take out the 20% haircut, and then you have to take out 20 million that the SPV will have to put in. I guess I didn't clarify on that. So the SPV in itself will have to put in 20 million rand as equity in towards the acquisition of these shares. Rewind, let's make it make sense. The SPV will have to buy 10% shares in Balwin Properties as listed on the JSE, and then the SPV, Balwin will give 20% discount. The SPV has to put in 20 million rand cash as equity, and then the remainder of the fund will be provided by Balwin as a vendor loan. Right, I hope that makes sense. The vendor loan in itself will bear interest at prime. Now, do remember this because I want to come back to this. So they'll bear interest at prime, and then it'll be settled over the next 9 years, right? After 9 years, then the SPV must have settled the loan and everything, and interest owing to Balwin fully. There is a lock-in period of 10 years, meaning that if you actually do buy into the scheme, if it's open to everybody or whoever the participants into the scheme are, they can't sell their shares within the 10-year period. And also at the same time, they can't use those shares as security, or they can't encumber those shares during the lock-in period. And I guess that's standard market practice to have a lock-in period. Now, we've spoken about the deal, we've spoken about Balwin, and the SPV, but who is the empowered party behind the SPV? Who's this picture, this person that we're seeing all over the news? Well, that's Mr. Reggie Kukama, as I've mentioned. He will own 51% of the shares in the SPV. Mr. Kukama actually holds a honors degree, honors in architecture from the University of Cape Town, which he got cum laude, so a very smart guy. He also holds a Masters of Science from the University of London in urban design and development. He has done work with Balwin previously, as Balwin has actually mentioned in some of the press releases that they had. He has a relevant experience and credentials. He owns an investment company that has invested in property, that has invested in agriculture, telecoms, and IT. And according to the Sense announcement, his specific experience in property include unlocking the right word. So he worked with the Waterfall Investment Company in the origination of the development in Waterfall, and yeah, I guess Balwin and I guess Balwin understands what they get to gain from an individual of his caliber, and also, as I mentioned, his work with them previously. So the working relationship between the two parties is strong. He's also invested in Edpost, in Swissport, and also in Comgo. At this point, I hope you're feeling proud, and also you hope you're wondering why. Why would Balwin do this? What do they have to gain, and what is in it for Reggie, and whether it's a good deal, right? Well, if we rewind to 2020, when Balwin announced that they were partnering with government on the Mooikloof development, I don't know if you recall the backlash that came, not the backlash, the backlash. I don't know if you recall the backlash that came with that announcement. People wondering why government was backing Balwin when their BEE credentials were basically non-existent. Well, non-compliant is the better, more correct word to use here. So Mooikloof development is a 84 billion project, and through this partnership, government would actually be involved or responsible for bulk infrastructure development or installation. And you know, for an 84 billion rand project, that is easily a lot of money. And for those of us who don't know what bulk infrastructure is, think four ways when all of the high density residential developments were happening, and how we had to expand roads, we had to still ensure that there's enough road for traffic to flow, there is enough water, there's enough electricity. Those are bulk infrastructure and services that a developer is responsible for ensuring is available for their development. Just because I want to put up 1,000 units doesn't mean now I must impede on traffic flow and all of those things. So basically, the government was going to foot a bill for that, and for 84 billion, for an 84 billion rand development, it is a high price tag bill. And whilst people commented that this would create jobs, and that's also government's angle for backing this, to create jobs, great pipeline, it helps alleviate the pressure from government to provide some of the housing that we know we critically need in our country. Balwin was still not transformed. And when they were asked about it, they also were very much open in saying, you know what, we realize that our credentials aren't the best. We are non-compliant. We are a non-compliant contributor in terms of the BEE scorecard, the generic scorecard, but we're working on it. Our black ownership is 13.4%, and we want to improve it. So one wonders whether this move is actually them improving their BEE scoring, just so to unlock more opportunities like this, more partnership opportunities with the government for their development, which I guess is okay. It's really great. You're transforming, and the government can back you for the improved, for also transforming the fabric of participation in the property sector, because that's really worrying, just not from the Balwin's perspective only, but just in the general property space. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is it improves Balwin's pipeline in the sense of possible partnerships with government, and the pipeline or the opportunity for Balwin from this deal is probably the biggest winner here. Is my personal view. Is this a good deal? Well, for Balwin, I think definitely. I think it's a great deal for Balwin. It unlocks the pipeline potential with the government, as I've just mentioned, but also for the SPV. You're getting a 20% discount just from the get-go. That's what you're getting, and that can be bad. Whilst there's 20 million rand that's required for you to put up, which I'm thinking they'll probably raise if they decide to list this empowered vehicle on the JSE. They can easily raise that from the public. And the majority shareholder will also be putting up money. His got a big track record, so he probably also has a big check. Balwin is also still putting up the remaining, call it 150 million plus minus, that's required as vendor loan, and they're charging a prime linked rate for it. At first, I wasn't too sure about the prime linked rate, but I guess if you were to think of Balwin as a developer, they'd probably have to raise money from banks at a prime linked rate. In that sense, they're basically charging what they get charged. The loan has to be repaid over a 9-year period, and there's that 10-year lock-in period that I've just mentioned. The one thing though that I guess in terms of the prime linked rate is whether, it wouldn't be better for the empowered party to have the interest or the interest linked to dividends declared, because essentially what that means is right now, should Balwin not declare dividends, the empowered the fund or the SPV, the vehicle, still has to pay interest on the loan. Whereas if interest was maybe linked to dividends, then the SPV wouldn't have to pay interest in periods where Balwin doesn't declare a dividend. So the fact that the vendor loan will pay interest at prime is the one thing that could maybe, like what happens in instances where Balwin doesn't declare a dividend, because then the vendor loan still incurs interest and the SPV still has to settle that interest. Whereas done differently, maybe could be linking the interest to dividends declared. So in periods where you don't declare dividends, there's no interest incurred. In periods where you declare dividend, that dividend declared is interest, right? If that makes sense. But also, I guess one may say, looking at Balwin's history, their interest declared is above prime. So I guess then that offsets or that puts the SPV in the money for most of the time. Barring last year, because then there were a whole lot of things going on last year. There was COVID, and a lot of people just generally, or a lot of businesses just generally didn't declare dividends. Will Balwin be able to maintain their current dividend policy? What if they reduce their dividend? And the last question, I guess, is would I buy if it was actually listed on the JSE as an empowered vehicle? I think I would. I mean, 10 years is such a short and long period at the same time. And I do believe in what Balwin is trying to do with, catering for sort of us in their offering, young professionals, modern contemporary type of offering, and also now bringing affordable housing, wanting to play in that sector, and inclusive housing. So I guess I would buy and cross my hands that, we've seen what happened with BEE vehicles when done right. Think SABs and Zelle, which everybody's talking about right now. So yeah, I guess I would. And let me know, what about you? Do you think this will work out? Would you buy if it was actually made available for all of us to play in? Let me know in the comment section below. Yeah, see you in the next video. Until next time, keep well. Do subscribe. If you enjoy this type of content, I think this is the space where we will be playing, and I'm really, really looking forward to that. So see you next time. Bye.